it a
This
little bit more. I
conference will
quit
now be
announcing it.
recorded.
And then the sales side said that they were going to use it as a marketing thing and actually try to promote it, you know. But I don't know when they'll get around to that. I thought at first that would be crazy because we may have 100 people on here, and then I'm thinking it probably wouldn't be. The most I've ever seen is what, maybe 40 people or something like that at,
Yeah, that was
at a peak,
that was an
and during
insane
its
night.
inception, yeah. Um, but I think
No,
more
of course it
people
is.
would be.
There's Tommy.
So, yeah, but we'll get some more people in here, and I think all that stuff will work itself out. I won't have to threaten to get out the Book of Thunder.
Oh God. I still think you need to. I still think you need to do like get somebody in here that does like specializes in doing image or doing photography
Hmm. Have some
and
guest
do
appearances, do some
yeah,
stuff
and
like
where they do a live.
that.
Like we did with my first setup thing. Have let them have two cameras, let them do a live, and that way everybody can ask questions as they're going through stuff. That
Yeah,
would be interesting.
yeah. And I've thought about even scheduling like a remote session on how to set up on Ethernet on a Mac or something, and do that. But then if I don't put
Who
something up
wants
that
that?
way,
Only insane people use Macs. Oh, I'm sorry, Tommy and them's here.
Hey,
Crap.
hey,
I like the hardware. I that well, I had a Mac. Now it's no good. I spilled coffee in it, so it
It's about
doesn't
all they're
work.
good
So
for. It's about all they're good for is coffee holders.
actually, I like them. I mean, I like the PC better from a being able to do things with it standpoint, not being so locked down about everything. But I mean, the hardware is great. I like running it once I get used to it. Once I got over the initial, what is this? Because it is totally different. And I was getting along my way, and then I spilled coffee in it. It was not on purpose, I promise. So now uh, Thunder's gonna get me another one, but Grant has one, so he's gonna send me his, and then I'm gonna let Thunder get him a new laptop that will be
What would you do
hot,
that
so
for?
he can do his
You're the
stuff.
tech support. You're tech support. You should have
Yeah,
the
but
top of the line.
I don't need the top of the line for that. The one I was using was 2014, and I got it up to the current version of the Mac OS somehow, and it's been okay until it met with
Till it drowned.
disaster. Yeah,
I had it. The only Mac I've ever had a G4.
yeah. So I'm gonna cut an acrylic stand for the next one, and use external, actually VNC, because I've got it now where I can use one keyboard and mouse on all three computers, Mac, Linux, and PC. So I can switch across the platforms and play with Lightburn in a little bit more. I don't mess with Linux much. I wish the whole world would go to Linux, but that's
I
just me.
used to. I used to have every single program or every single operating system platform at one point in time, all running at the same time. Why I don't know. It's just because I could.
So did they all drink from the same coffee cup, Brian?
What's that?
Did they all drink from the same coffee cup?
No, no, there are multiple coffee cups. That's part of the problem.
It was probably during that earthquake that you guys had.
Did we have an earthquake?
Yeah, don't you remember? That's when your coffee cup sort of started doing this, and
Oh yeah, that's what happened. So anyway, no, I don't have anything real exciting other than Chris has been writing articles and I love them, and I need to post them, some of them.
I was gonna say I haven't seen any.
Yeah,
They're
well,
up there.
they're there. You just see, you got to go through the knowledge base and look at the latest topics or whatnot.
One of the things you guys should do is like when you do post a good article like that, is go to Facebook and
And
then post it there that you guys posted a new article, so
yeah,
the people that don't go there all the time can.
yeah, and that's that. I used to do that, and I told Chris about that the other day. I think we discussed doing that. Yeah.
Did you pay him to say that before I got here?
No, I didn't.
I see
No,
your
just
Venmo history.
great minds think alike is all.
Yeah. I'll see which ones. Some of these you don't want to have to deal with because that means you got problems. Like one of them was a customer had a message on the screen. This was kind of a first for us. The encryption. So you might get a message one day, which you really shouldn't, that your read is encrypted. So come to find out, you can put a lease on these things. Say, hey, you get 1 month of using this machine, and then it's going to lock down all your files. So that was one of them, how to recover from that. So, boot up old Windows computer, throw some RDWorks at it, and cuss a little bit, and then install it and be done.
That's
So,
different.
RD
yeah.
works. Yeah, that's the only thing you
Yeah.
need RD works for is some low level stuff going on directly with the controller.
Some firmware
since-
flashing and unlocking.
Since Jason new here, let's put him on the spot and let him introduce himself and see what he is.
Who's that?
Jay? Isn't he new? I don't recognize him.
All right. Dazed and confused. Yeah, your audio's.
Yeah, Jay, your audio is dead.
I'm going to try and lower it, but I don't know if we need to. We okay?
I'll be able to hear.
Okay, leave it here.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I won't be able to hear.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Jay's working on his audio. If anybody else has any questions or wait, does he have it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
A little bit.
A little bit.
a little bit.
Little bit.
There we go.
If I can.
That happens to me every other week. It seems like.
I had Bluetooth route and it just crapped out on me. So back to this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I made it
work.
to one of these shows a long time ago.
Let me pause you for a second, guys. If
okay.
you're not chatting, if you don't mind, mute yourself so we don't get that feedback. If you don't mind, please. Or we can pop it. I think we can do it. There we go. Sorry, Jay. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I made it to one of these shows a long time ago and had questions, but I wasn't like ready to set up with mine. I have a really old Mars 160
Nice.
that just needs like a complete overhaul. So I might have some questions about that, but I'm pretty sure I need like the raise and lower stators on the bottom there are slipping, and it's not slipping on the belt. The belt's tensioned up, but it's just internally slipping, I believe. So
Gotcha.
I dare not take it down to the bottom, or else I won't get it back to the top. Sometimes they'll go wonky sideways, and this is at like 1 millimeter per second, so it's not like super fast or anything.
Right. And that one's probably got dual motors, one that runs the left side and one that runs the right.
It does. I have no gas struts on it. I have like a mousetrap kind of set up that I have to use a rod with.
Now, does that gantry have
needs
the
a lot of
linear
love.
rails, or does it have the U-groove, the U-channel rollers?
Rollers.
It's got the roller bearings that ride along the steel insert
Yes.
on the aluminum. Okay, because some of those older Mars and some of the Nova 24s had linear bearings on them for a while. So okay, so that is a whole lot like the Nova as far as the gantry systems and stuff.
It needs a lot of love. My X-axis has a lot of waves in it, and I've tightened down like all the bearings on both the sides and everything. And I worked a lot of it out, but it's still got some waves to it.
Gotcha. So all right, cool. Well, we're
But
still
I
servicing
just
those
moved it.
machines.
Are you?
So
Yeah, I just moved it this weekend from like an old shop, so it's not even ready to go yet.
yeah.
But
Well, cool.
it
I like
needs a
seeing
lot of
those old
love.
machines. I saw a Mars 90 was the very first Thunder I ever saw, and that's what got me interested in them. And I've been a fan ever since. So awesome. Well, if you have any questions about it, you can talk about it here or shoot us a message if you want to get specific and start going through that thing and working on some of those issues.
That's what I need to know, who to reach out to actually go through each piece of it and check it out.
Yeah.
Because like
So,
the guy that I got it from, I know he's no longer around, and before he left, like I know the bulb's got some life to it still, but it was getting weak, and it's still purple. Like I know when it's going out, but the power supply. He messed with the potentiometer in there, has mixed with it. So if I put a new tube in there, it's going to be too much power for it, I'm sure.
Okay.
So I don't know how to reset it all back to factory without blowing something up.
Yeah. Well, if you use our stuff, then if you need a power supply, or even if you don't, we can help you tweak that back down because we changed it in the config now. In the software.
Yeah, he actually used
instead
a
of doing it in the
potentiometer
hardware for that reason. That way you don't have to set your next one. If you do a manual adjustment, a physical adjustment on the power supply itself, then if you ever replace your power supply, you have to go through that tuning process again. Whereas the way we do it now, we leave the power supply stock and adjust the max and min in the configuration files. And that way, next time you get a tube or a power supply, you just plug and play. You don't have to worry about that recalibration. So
Okay.
Yeah, we can help with that too. But the best way, the fastest, most effective pathway to support is just to email support@thunderlaserusa.com.
Okay.
And that'll create a ticket automatically. And Thunder China is also on that ticket, and we'll probably refer to them some on these older machines because they know the intricacies of them a lot more. I haven't had my head inside one a lot. I'm then the Nova Series machines do have some nuances, some differences. So I
I'm
may
in
be bouncing
Western
some
North
information.
Carolina. You're welcome to come over.
Gotcha. So, but yeah, we'll be able to help you out with that thing.
Okay.
What part of North Carolina?
Western North Carolina, right below Asheville. I'm in Hendersonville.
Okay. Not that far away.
So,
Knoxville.
Okay.
So yeah, if anybody's got anything, kick your mic on and feel free to jump on in.
Yeah, hey Brian, what's up?
Hey, Sam.
Oh, still, as Jim would say, dazed and confused. Trying to figure out that stupid slate coaster with that dog, and I don't know if it's just an ugly dog picture or what, but I'm having tons of trouble and it's not coming through at all.
Can you show us a picture of what you do have?
Yeah, it doesn't get uglier than that.
He's scared to show his face. I think he's on the most wanted or something. Hey, Tommy.
No, keep talking. I'll find it. I gotta find the stupid coaster. Hang on a second.
Yep.
You can share everybody the importance of drip legs.
Oh, sweet. I knew you were going to bring that up.
I had to because I've preached them so many times.
So, since this is recorded and anybody that decides to watch it can understand, we ran into a problem because of the way our setup was, and I didn't pay attention to it at first. But so we have the two lasers. Air runs to the main airline, runs to both of them. Well, I wound up accidentally putting a drip leg in, running to our boss. And yesterday we kicked it on and it filled up our water separator pretty quick. So now we've put a main drip leg in at the start with a desiccant dryer and then on the way to the lasers, and then each laser has its own water separator at the regulator just to prevent this. That was fun at 6:30 this morning trying to replace all of this.
Brian, you're muted. Brian, you're muted.
Muted himself.
Yeah, it's probably better that way. I was going to say, at least you got it sorted, and that's good because those lenses definitely don't like moisture. They're water permeable. And
well, the Thunder was perfectly safe.
Mhm.
It was only the boss. So,
oh, well, okay. I mean, if you have to pick one.
yeah.
One of the important things is when you're running an airline to your device, make sure that you're not having a T downwards and then hooking your device to that in line, because that creates a water trap.
Yes, it
And
does.
it basically creates a drip leg. And if you do that, you will fill your separator full of water or drain it right straight to your laser. That's why I always talk about having a drip leg in conjunction with your air dryers, because the drip leg can take the majority of the water out before it goes into the dryers, then feed the dryer into your laser. Essentially, he just created a drip leg going right straight to his laser.
Yeah. You wanna make an article?
I'm not.
I'll send you a T-shirt. I'll send you a T-shirt if you make an article. Send me some pictures.
Actually, we didn't take pictures, did we? No, you did take pictures, didn't you, Tommy? Because we was doing it live.
I have pictures of before and after, because we've posted them for other people always asking, hey, what does your air system look like? And we have I don't know, maybe a unique system, maybe not, because this is in a whole separate building from most. The air compressor sits outside and it's in its own little plastic shed. to help reduce the noise and keep the weather off of it. And then it's just run through the walls with PEX tubing, because PEX is so much easier than trying to run steel or copper or anything else.
So basically, what I had him do is come out of his shed into the building. As soon as it entered his building, I had him put a drip leg right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it caught water immediately before, because he has it split going left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had him put an air dryer on either side of that, and he's got another air dryer beyond that to isolate that,
each machine. Yeah.
Because his compressor sitting in an outbuilding, especially going into summer, he's going to have problems.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, I'm not good at writing stuff. I had a hard enough time yesterday trying to him and I we ended up Facebook and or whatever you call it, and I had hard to FaceTiming. Yeah, whatever it is. I got him walk through it.
All right.
Thank God. I can put pictures together and I can write something up. You want something rough in technical terms, or do you want it in layman's terms? I might have some experience as a tech writer.
Yes. All of the above.
I'll see what I can come up. I'll add it to the list and see what I can come up with.
I'll take anything I can get, even if it's just the pictures and here's what we did before and after, and we can wing it from there. But if you enjoy that kind of thing and want to put that, I mean, the more the merrier. I'm not going to turn anything down. So
because I can break it down with the materials that we used and where the materials are located. I'm not going into prices because we all know that damn prices fluctuate throughout the country.
Sure.
So at least if I can, take good photos and roll from there, and I'll see what I can come up with.
If you want, I mean, it would be beneficial to some, to see that stuff. So sure. If you want to contribute, we'd be glad to help publish it,
I just got a text, so I've got really good news. So yeah, I've got a little bit of time considering I had a customer cancel on me. So I'm happy as can be.
At least it wasn't your bench that canceled at the last minute.
No, this was the bunk beds and the dressers.
I wouldn't be hurting over the bunk beds.
I'm not.
That one don't hurt my feelings one bit.
I'm not at all. And that's, Jim saw it yesterday. We did a corner bench, and in that corner, she engraved the monogram.
Their monogram and their, established whatever year when they got married.
Mm-hmm.
You did a really nice job on it. Come out good.
All right. Well, if anybody has anything, Sam's still looking for that picture, maybe, or he may be waiting for us to be quiet.
Sam's lost in California.
Jim's got us. Jim's got our attention. How you doing, man?
I got a question. You keep talking about the Mac problems connecting the first time. Is it just an IP related thing?
No, actually, if you connect via TCP/IP or through the Ethernet, that is the best way to connect a Mac.
Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Okay.
Yeah, the unreliable part is with the USB connection because of the FTDI chipset that's in our controllers. Mac comes with a pre-loaded FTDI driver that doesn't play well with our controller, and to get that out of there and put the right driver in can be nauseating and require some terminal level stuff. But Ethernet's fine, is great. A lot of people use USB without issue. So I'm not going to say it's always an issue, but that more than anything, that's what it is. If it's a combination of Mac and USB, that's where most of the problems are.
I would never use USB on a Mac, especially newer ones. I don't know how they work like they used to.
Well,
you talk about water. You're talking about water separation. I see your article you did, and you list on Amazon. I think it's a $15 little separator thing.
Right.
If you want something bigger, what are your options are? I don't want to go big.
Well, some of those are a couple $100. Oh, you're talking about the compressors?
No,
the regulators. The regulator and separator we just picked was a bottom of the barrel Chinese brand that we just found on Amazon. But there are a lot of people that put a lot more money into their pneumatic stuff. You can buy $120 a water
mine
separator
was
if you want to.
mine was
You
like
know,
$100.
you can go
I
all
got two of them.
Ingersoll Rand, you know, and spend a lot of money if you want to, but it's good stuff. You know, the stuff that we have on our site is not necessarily the best of the industry kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So you got
Yeah.
to take our articles with a grain of salt, and evaluate your situation. If you're a hobbyist like me, as far as running the laser, I don't get a lot of time on them. A little California 8010 and a $20 separator is fine. You know, if you're going to run it for a business, you may look at some higher quality, better performing options. So
Okay. Because I was just looking at the bowls are so small. I just want something that, and
sure.
it's you don't want to. You prefer not to have it to deal with desiccant or I don't know what they call it.
Mhm.
The
But
desiccant.
keep the yeah, that's the word. uh, you want one that's not that because it fills up all the time. Correct?
I've heard that. I haven't used one, so I don't know. I would imagine that Tommy might know about those.
I'm working on show and tell.
Uh-huh.
Mine, there's the link to the one in the chat, the one that I've used. They're about $100,
Okay.
and they work
Okay.
really
Okay.
well.
So bear with me. I gotta adjust crap and everything else.
Now, real quick, while we're talking about this, just in case anybody's on here starting to freak out because they don't have a water separator and stuff, this is only if you're connecting an external air compressor. I just want to clarify that for anybody that may be listening. If you have the stock air pump, you don't have to worry about any of this. So I just wanted to clarify that real quick.
So if you can, I don't know if you can get a good shot of this. You've got the water
Yep.
separator, the regulator, and then I've got a ball valve. This
Yeah.
is what runs to my boss so that she can turn the air on and off when necessary.
Mhm.
And then adjust pressures. This is specifically for the boss. However, if you take off the ball valve and just have the regulator and the water separator, this is what I have that runs to the Thunder, but the controls do everything for us. We opted to go with that because it made our life a little easier. We like the concept of the whole, it can do both at the same time, cut, and where the boss does it, she's got to manually work that. So I've got one of these little things for each laser. And then if I rotate my computer, if you can see on the wall,
Yeah.
and I'm going to try not to lose connection here doing this. So air comes in through the wall and then splits, comes up. This way it goes to my laser. So here's the water separator and the desiccant dryer. Back this way is just a regular not a spray nozzle. And then this is the drip leg with a valve so I can drain the water out of it. And then it just runs around the wall and into the other regulators or other. But what if I got 1/4 inch that runs from the 1/2 inch pipe to the lasers? Does that help give you an idea?
Yeah, it does. And on the ball valve, I read somewhere on the website that you need to cut the pressure off to the laser and that has a running or a static pressure when you're not using it.
Yeah. Now here's how I work mine. I turn my machine off and I'll sit here for the rest of the evening and work. And if I turn it off at 5 o'clock, about 8 o'clock, I hear the auto valves in the regulator go psss, and then everything's gone. So mine evacuates by itself just by bleeding off slowly after you don't have your compressors running anymore.
Oh, I leave pressure in the tank 24/7 years.
Gotcha. So.
And I imagine I got a gallon or two of water in there because the drain valve was rusted.
I see.
Your best thing to do on that is get PAX. Get you a adapter for PAX to go into your drain valve, and then put a 90 on there and come out of it, and then put you a ball valve just so that it's on the outside of your tank, from underneath, and that way you can bleed your tank off real easily, and you don't have to reach underneath of it.
Well, the valve is rusted. The tank on the
It
valve
should
on the
unbolt.
tank at the bottom.
It'll be a nut
Oh, it's a big.
that's in there. Take that
Yeah.
whole entire nut thing out, and
Okay.
then you put, basically, it's a connector for going to PAX, and then just come out with a little stub, and then come out like a 90, and then run it out, put a ball valve there. That way, it makes it real easy for you to drain your tank out,
Okay.
and that way, it makes it more inviting for you to drain your tank daily versus
Yeah,
trying to fight with it.
I don't think I've drained a tank in a decade.
Yeah, with the lasers, you
I
want to
don't
make
use it.
sure that tank is drained as much as
I
possible.
don't use it that much.
Yeah. Well, having any water in there is probably gonna change the humidity of your water from the very start, or your air from the very start. So, and these lenses, you will fry a lens if you get any moisture on them at all.
Okay.
So, yeah, you may want to mitigate that. I don't know if I'd leave that. Is it a steel tank?
I would assume so. Yeah, it's one of those
Okay.
12-gallon or 16-gallon
Yeah,
DeWalt's.
I
Yeah, and then
gotcha.
you're also taking your air capacity out, which means your compressor is going to run more, which means you're going to build up more heat, which means you're going to build up more moisture, which is in turn going to cause you more problems.
Mainly
Yeah,
reason it turns on because it leaks somewhere in the system. That's why I have ball valves everywhere.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
gotcha.
when you're using your laser for cutting or engraving,
Yeah.
you're going to
Okay.
use air volume.
Okay. Now all I gotta do is find where my laser is.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm checking my ticket system real quick. Got some things coming in. All right. If anybody's got anything, Jim, anybody else, feel free to jump in here. We were going good for a minute.
Yeah, there's some other new people. What Trish and I guess Lucas.
Yeah.
Lucas, yeah, I'm a regular lurker.
Well, if you've got any questions, feel free to fire away, man.
Just absorbing.
Okay.
Hey, I wanted to
Here
put something out real quick if you can hear me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. What's up, man?
Hey, about the new for the Nova 24, the Rotoboss Junior and the Rotoboss.
Mhm.
I want to make sure. I mean, if anybody's watching this or anybody here, that there's a video on the web or on the YouTube channel of how to properly install that. 'Cause I know a couple people have gotten it and had issues or questions on how to install it. And there's also a link to the video that comes with the kit for it. But it doesn't sit directly on the honeycomb because the clearance and stuff isn't there. It has to go on the blades.
Gotcha.
So I know there was some debate about that. And if anybody ever has any questions, I mean, by all means, reach out to me.
Yeah. You're talking about the hangers, right? For the
Yeah, the hanger brackets that hangs off the
okay.
blades, so
Now,
you can mount those two in there.
I have a question because I honestly don't know. If somebody orders a Nova 24 and a low roller or a full roto or something with it, do those come with it, or is that something that we're going to have to make sure is included, or how does that work?
If they're getting a Nova, because we just had this incident happen where somehow, I don't know if it was ordered and it wasn't known or what, but they got a 24 and they got a junior with no brackets. If they're ordering, especially if they're ordering it secondhand, maybe
Mm-hmm.
after they've already got the machine, they just need to specify for sure that they have the 24. That way they know when they send the order to me, they know to put on there that it's for the 24.
I
And if
see.
that's the case, then the brackets will come with it. Otherwise, it just comes as normal
I
with
gotcha.
just a magnet feed on it.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, and there's still low rollers available right now. Cause I kind of underestimated how many I had left. So I was trying not to get caught selling them and not having them. So I mean, if anybody still wanted a low roller, they could still get one for it. They just
Gotcha.
need to make it known.
Well, maybe talk to Grant. Maybe he wants to get the rest of them.
No, I did, but I mean, we've already rolled out the junior and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and it was more or less to kind of to make sure that we had some available for the Auroras when people started getting those.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to be for the Aurora is the low roller, because it fits in there nice and neat and functions normally. Whereas the junior and stuff sits a little too high for that particular laser.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, oh, you've got an Aurora, right? So,
Yeah.
we're working on a camera mod for it too.
Oh, are
So
you?
yeah, yeah. I've been using it on it, and once you get, it's weird to dial in because when you're working on that scale, I've got the shortest lens. I've got the smallest lens, and trying to do a calibration on that thing is insane because your piece of paper is 8.5 by 11. You're trying to get it far. It's nuts as far as all that stuff
Well, you'd
goes. But
almost on that. I don't know. I don't even know if that would be functional or
oh,
practical.
dude, it is dead on that close at that
Is it?
narrow of a field of
How do
view. Oh my gosh, the camera is incredible on the fiber.
How do you? No, I get that, but I mean, how do you account for, like, if you're doing something that's a millimeter thick and then you switch to something that's 10 millimeters thick? How does it compensate, or how does it know to compensate for that thickness?
The camera mounts to the lens
Does it mount
itself, to the
to the
lens
head?
body, and then it mounts to the head, and then
Uh,
the autofocus does the rest. Just like on the Nova series, that's our
okay.
autofocus plays with the Lightburn camera perfectly on the Aurora as well.
Okay.
So as long as you use the autofocus
I
on the
wouldn't. I
Aurora,
would.
you're gonna be dead on with the camera.
Yeah,
So
I was looking to try to come up with something or just do something on my own. And I'm trying to figure out whether it would be that accurate, considering
yeah,
you can autofocus
yeah,
and it's not a fixed position like it is on your CO2, so to speak.
right. Yeah, as long as I can autofocus, the camera's dead on that Aurora. I mean, even more so than on the Nova series. It's crazy, incredible. So I'm looking forward to that.
Huh,
So
that's cool.
I
And
can't wait
what
for
are
them
we? I didn't
to
look
release
in.
it. What's that?
Now, someone mentioned to me or asked me if I knew about Thunder's open architecture fiber. Are they coming out with one, or is that just some rumor?
I don't think they have any intention of that. They like the enclosed one. It may
You know what
not
I
be
mean,
for
right?
everybody, but you mean one that's
Are
not
they
in an
are they looking
enclosure?
at? Yeah.
I haven't heard
Are they
that.
doing one like that, or is that?
Not that
I
I
had
know
two
of.
people ask me if I knew anything about that one because they were looking at getting the Thunder fiber, and they asked me if I knew anything about the new open, not enclosed fiber, and I didn't think that they were coming out with one, or I
Well, I
didn't
mean,
know if they were coming out with one or not.
they haven't told me, but that doesn't mean anything necessarily. I don't always get the word. But I
No.
don't, not that I know of. Um, when we had our meeting, like our global meeting, they discussed, product lines, and that was not part of it. But things change. Who
Okay.
knows? If they find that
Yeah,
too
I was just
restrictive to
curious.
have the enclosure in some instances when you want a real wide lens or a different rotary or big objects and stuff like that, I can see where the enclosure can be a problem. But for what they
Yeah,
intend
'cause
it for. Mhm.
I know some companies, like I got one that it came with an enclosure that mounts to the open bed
Mhm.
to make it technically a class 2 or whatever it is,
Mhm.
um, or whatever the lower class is. Um, you can remove it and make it a complete open
Yeah. Well, I
concept.
don't.
I don't know. I was
Yeah.
just curious.
The only thing I've heard them talk about is a way to reliably be able to defeat those interlocks and allow the door to be open in certain instances, but not others. Because really, if you think about it, the way
Well,
that
and,
one's made, as long as you have it open all the way, you've almost got, with almost got the,
yeah,
full open. I mean, you won't be able to fit everything in there, but yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
No, I know. Like on mine, I have in Lightburn, I have my interlocks defeated in Lightburn, and they work for the Aurora as well.
Yeah.
So you can run it with the door open. But
Yeah.
I was just curious. Like I said, I had two people ask me about it, like it was something that was happening.
Yeah. I don't know if it
Yeah,
is.
I didn't hear anything about it.
Unless they're just going to pull the skin off,
So,
off of them when they get them. But then what's the point of getting the Thunder
yeah,
if you're just going to take it
but you
apart?
can't even really do it. you can't even really do that because all your components are housed inside of it. So
Yeah.
it'd be kind of hard to do that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Nonetheless,
I recommend having an open one. I join mine.
what?
So I recommend having an open system. It's a lot easier to pass through parts and stuff.
Yeah,
I have a OV.
it's definitely easier, but like with
Here's
Go
my
ahead.
system. No, I have a OV laser with an
Mhm.
open system, which I made level with the rest of my table, so I can have longer parts go through it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, cool. Anybody got anything? What is it? We're halfway through.
I had a
Lazy-
question.
Yeah, come on, man.
So I got my laser last week. I did open it up. It seems like nothing's damaged, so just waiting to get the garage done. My question's about ventilation, and if I have so it's 8-inch coming out of the Thunder, right? The 51s now.
It is.
So if I have, say, is there a way to have like a 4-inch coming from my fiber, teeing into the 8-inch on the Thunder, and have one outlet going through the wall outside, or would that affect? But I need like a 4-inch pan by the fiber and an 8-inch out of the Thunder, or
Well, I mean,
is there a way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, there is a way to do it the right way. I don't know if it would. It can vary. You can have a fan for each one, but then you run into needing check valves or blast gates or something like that to make sure you don't blow one to the other. You know what I mean? Or let's say you're running your big laser and it doesn't, it has a lot more output than your 4-inch, so your fiber may not exhaust, unless you have them turned on and off the right way. The other way would be to run one big fan, ahead of the two inlets and just let it run all the time, but then you'd want an 8-inch or a 10-inch maybe, or even a 12-inch, honestly, if you really want to move some air. The best way is to either just run another 4 inches, just like a dryer vent, right? Or what? Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say I got a 12-inch that's right at the outlet, and it pulls my 3 CO2s and my 2 fibers off of it.
Yeah.
And they each got their own dampers. I use electronic dampers. All I got to do is flip a switch to open or close a given one or more. But as long as you have enough CFM, it shouldn't matter. But that's like what Brian was saying, is if you have it just open and it's pulling from an 8-inch on your 51 or whatever it is, it might not pull enough volume from the fiber to, be effective.
Yeah. The best easy answer is put in another 4-inch vent or use an extractor. But could you do it? Yeah, you could do it. You need to sit down and plan how you want to do it. You know what I mean? To make sure that you've covered all your bases as far as that goes.
But if some of the dampers with the little solenoids on them, is that what he's talking about? Like a electric damper with a.
Yeah, I use the electric damper, the 24-volt electric dampers, and mine are. I have them spring-loaded closed. They're normally spring-loaded open, but if you put them in the opposite direction, they close spring-loaded. So that way, when you have it on, it's powered open, and also I have some LED lights mounted to my ducting. So when that valve is open, the lights come on, so you know at a glance that duct is actually open or closed or not. There's actually a video on my setup, but I mean it's kind of overkill, I guess, for most, because I mean if you have access to all your ducting, then a manual damper would be just fine as well if you don't want to spend the money on electronic ones. It's just when you're people routing them through walls on opposite sides of a room or something like that, where we kind of get a little cumbersome to have manual dampers that you have to fiddle with to try to open and close.
Yeah, I'll have access. I mean, it's going to be in the garage, so I'll be able to. The ductwork will be exposed.
Do you have an outlet
Yeah.
already? I mean, are you planning to have at least one? I mean, what's your, or
I
do
don't
you have
have
an
anything
8-inch
yet.
outlet? You don't.
No, the only thing I have vented out right now is just the propane ceiling heater vent. But
Gotcha.
nothing's vented yet. And I may just eliminate one of the windows and frame that out with a piece of plywood and vent it out there, and then I guess it won't be an issue to run two separate ones.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that would probably be the most simplistic way. Yeah. Now, if you did want to do, if you haven't already outputted an exhaust fitting or anything at all yet, you could go with a 10 and then put an S10 fan in there and then run both to it and just make sure that fan comes on before you run them. That would probably be okay if you did something in that arrangement. You know what I mean?
And where would that be placed?
Well, you'd want the fan as close to the outlet as possible. You know?
Yep.
Okay.
So my fan, like I said, I got a 12-inch fan, and it's got a 90-degree elbow that comes off of it and goes directly outside.
Yeah. And a lot of people do it the same way. You have like a trunk line that's big, and you have a pretty good sized fan on it, and then you just come off of that trunk line with whatever you've got. And I think Travis's may follow those long
Travis is that way.
lines.
Yeah,
that's
I got
the typical way to do it.
10-foot trunk line, 12 inches. I've got one 8-inch drop for the 63, and then two 6-inches or three 6-inches, two of them for the other CO2s and one for the fiber.
Yeah. So I mean, if you build an exhaust plenum that is sufficient to evacuate the amount from all of those machines and just hook them all up together like that, that is the way to do it, and make sure that fan is on, no matter what, as long as at least one machine is on.
You wouldn't even need dampers then, right? Because if it's a big enough CFM, you'll just suck. It's not going to go. It's going to go the direction of the fan.
Exactly. In theory, yeah.
Yeah, if you have enough CFM, that's the key.
And the
if you have a 400 CFM,
yeah, but an S10 even pushes 1400 or something like that, something crazy. It may be more than that. I have an article. Why don't I look at the article? Tell me to go look at the article.
Go look at you're also going to also be cautious on putting Y's and T's and stuff in there as well, because that will affect the amount of volume of air, the CFMs as well.
Well, yeah, you want the straightest line possible for sure. Like the only bend in mine is a 90 degree that goes from the fan to the outside. That's the only bend in mine.
Well, my
straight.
Yeah,
my idea was to have a 90 on the 4-inch from the fiber up to the ceiling and going across, and then have the Thunder come in with like I don't know if it's 30 degrees or 45 degree slant connector, where one would come in straight, the Thunder would angle in, and then straight out with the fan up the wall.
See, an S10 pulls 1200 CFM, or an S12 pushes 1604. So, and I mean, you can put an S10 in there and that'd probably work. Just run a 10-inch outlet. If you can run a 10-inch outlet and put a 10-inch fan on it, then you can just Y in, or whatever you want to call it, the two machines.
In that condition, a little overkill is better than not having enough, and then you got to waste money again to buy something bigger or whatever. And then if you get the one, I don't know if the S10 and 12 you're talking about, do they have variable speed?
Yeah, it's the AC. Yeah, it's the AC Infinity. The
cloud okay. I think mine's on a variable resistor or potentiometer or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So.
And what's the best thing to have at the outlet to keep backdraft? Do they make a dryer vent type deal with a flap on it? That big, or?
I'm sure they can get one that big.
Yeah, basically what I have a damper on the outside, just a dryer vent damper, and then I have another damper on the inside of that. So I'm running two dampers, backdraft dampers, to keep from any kind of airflow coming in, and or bees or roads or whatever.
The only problem The only problem I
If you got
can see is the
manual,
west wind. It would be out the west side of my house, and the wind is pretty bad out there. Like it stalled my heater before, even though it's got a cap on the outside. It's been so windy.
If
So,
you're going to use a
that's another
standard
issue.
vent hood, like a dryer vent hood, except bigger, if you're going to go out the side like that, they'll either have a weighted or a spring-loaded damper in them that usually works pretty good. I prefer the weighted one if at all possible because I've had those springs break and then they flap and make noise and stuff when they break.
And actually, on a
yeah,
12,
but
don't you have to go? Don't they typically go to louvered
They
on a
might.
12?
yeah,
See, that's the other
I've
thing. He's going to go that big and go rigid through there and make that plenum like that. There's going to be some differences than
Yeah, it's
what
gonna be
most
a
people
louvered.
experience.
see my building's got a 16-inch louver opening where it used to have the exhaust fans.
Mm-hmm.
I took one of the exhaust fans out, and that's where my stuff exhausts through. But it's got the louver, so when the air hits it, the louvers open up, and then when the air goes away, the louvers close.
Yeah.
But it's also got one of those. It almost looks like the restaurant vents, the big hood that comes out and scoops down. It's got the
Yeah.
mesh screen on it to keep big
Stuff
objects
out.
or birds or whatever out. But then also, if you have dampers, whether you have a damper at the outlet or not is really not crucial as long as you have some sort of screen to keep birds and stuff like that from getting in there and nesting or whatnot.
Yeah.
Because the dampers will prevent the backdraft as well. So I mean, if you don't have dampers, then yeah, you definitely won't using it.
Yeah.
Something louvered or flap to close when you're not.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something out there. You may want to contact Kevin. You may want to contact an HVAC guy or somebody that's in that kind of mechatronics or whatnot, industrial automation or something. They might be able to give you some insight on that. On some products that are available.
That's
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a couple of guys.
that's true.
HVAC, commercial HVAC, so they deal with that stuff. They can probably fabricate it all for me too. So.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Cool.
I had an HVAC guy. They looked at me kind of funny when I told them what I wanted it to do, but
yeah, that's why you just don't say anything about lasers.
They finally got everything
together. Be able to put this much air through this diameter hole. Yeah.
They got it done. It wasn't cheap. But
yeah, you tell them. You should tell them it's for popcorn poppers or something, because once you tell them it's for lasers, they might double the price on you.
Yeah. So it does the job though. Yeah. If you're looking to expand your operation at any point, you're better just to have a trunk line, and then tap into it. It's easy to tap into it. You just get those little curved. I don't know what they're called. But you cut a little hole in your trunk line, and then that piece fits around it, and then you just screw it to it, and then tape around the edges, and then hook your duct up to it, and you're done.
You can add on a flange. Yeah.
Yeah, they're called takeoff boots.
Is that what they were?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I did for my 63 when I got it. Is I just bought an 8-inch one, and you cut a hole in it and just go up in there. You screw it to it, put a little silicone if you want to, and then tape around the outside of it, and you're done. But there's no wrong way, I guess. Just whatever.
There is.
There is. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right.
They're cool.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, though. I mean, as long as you're getting enough air out, I mean, how you do it. I mean,
there's a bunch of ways for sure. There's different.
Yeah.
There's a bunch, but that's the standard practice the way you guys have it set up, and y'all have the luxury of being in a commercial building where some of those facilities are already in place, where it makes it not so difficult. Yeah. I never thought I would need something like that in here in my little garage, but I'm thinking that I should have at the beginning now with all these lasers in here. So
just get an axial grain silo fan. They move enough air.
That might be a little too much.
That's what I got in my paint booth.
Well, I figured you'd probably just have a fan that blows it back around to you. You said you like to catch a buzz while you work.
No, not with some of the stuff I spray.
I imagine. What time is it? It's 3:48. If anybody's
Yeah.
got anything, feel free to jump in.
I'm sure Travis has got something. He's been quiet too long.
Oh no, we had a person on freaking fentanyl last night do a bunch of damage at a few of our properties. It's great fun.
Oh, joys.
I don't think we're going over an extra large on the adults. I think it's like small extra large.
So, all right. Well, I don't really have anything. Chris, you got something, man?
Okay.
So
I thought it was your day to come up with the backup solution.
I did that last week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
thought I
right.
did
Well,
that last week.
yeah, oh, maybe it was you last week.
I got another some if you give me some input.
Sure.
What about like I've been looking at the fire extinguishers and stuff, the CO2s. What about like a halon that doesn't leave any residue at all, from what I understand?
Right.
Yeah. Go to Tommy because he's the firefighter.
You're gonna have issues with halon. And if you can get one, then that's probably one of the best options. But I know that they're so regulated, even aircraft are pulling them out. Your best bet, to be honest with you, is a CO2. It's going to cost you an arm and a damn leg. I think they're about $150 right off the bat for maybe a 10 or a 20 pounder. But to be honest with you, this is from my experience. I've got an ABC in here. And then we have a handy dandy homemade, probably the best damn extinguisher known to man, especially when you're cutting or engraving and something flares up.
Yeah, or grilling.
That works as well.
Yep.
So we keep one of these. It's just water.
Yep.
That's really, the biggest issue. We've set a few boards on fire, but watch your pines. I don't recommend anybody put any type of pine in the laser. The sap is extremely flammable and it burns relatively easy. And we use a lot of exotics. So what was it? Black limba is very porous. And if you're not paying attention, it will catch on fire. But once you remove the air from it for cutting, it tends to not sustain a flame or an ember for the most part.
See you tomorrow.
So your little spray bottle of water, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best things to have.
Yeah. Yep, that is.
I saw a halon on Uline, but they're close to $300 for a 5-pound.
You're better off just going CO2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about a fire blanket for absolute backup?
Yeah, so we have a fire blanket hanging off the side of each of our lasers, and then we have two CO2 extinguishers. We have a 10 and a 20 pound. And the 10 pound, granted, this is Alaska, everything's a lot more. I think our 10 pound was about $230, and our 20 pound was about $330, $340, something like that. So you should be able to get them a lot cheaper down there. But
yeah, mine was
that's definitely the way to go. Halon is an old technology. It worked great, but it's been abandoned. It's hard to find anything for it. Pretty much everyone's moved over to Haltron now. Still not a big fan of it for laser use. I know a lot of people use it. It'll work. But, if your goal is to just put out a look at him. Yeah,
if you want to get fancy, you can get the tube system.
Yeah. This is what Brian just pulled up is actually the best way to go because it's a full automated system.
Even that little thing, that's a self-contained. That T series is a self-contained unit.
Yeah,
you don't need those.
So there's disadvantages to those as well. I mean, I love those. I'm actually getting ready to put those inside of my lasers. But the disadvantage is when they blow up, they do explode with quite a bit of force, and it can crack mirrors and all that stuff. But if you have a fire in your laser, that's probably the least of your concern. But they do work really well. So, yeah.
They're the same concepts that are on all your restaurant grills. It's the same general
Server
concept
rooms.
of it.
Yeah, and server rooms.
Yeah, they work great, but
Yeah,
until
I've seen them because they deal with data rooms and stuff with work. Used to be Halon, and I forget what it is now. I think you mentioned what they use now, but I figured the automatic would be way out of cost effective way of doing it, but I'm sure there's a circuit board and everything.
This one isn't. This T series here from Blaze Cut, there's no electronics in it. It bursts because of the fire, and then goes.
It's either got a fusible link or it's got a heat sensor that once the flames or once it gets up to a certain temperature, it separates, or a fusible link, it melts because of the heat. Sprinkler systems in buildings are designed the same way, unless you're in a warehouse now, or unless you're like up in Travis's area where they're all dry systems. So there's not water in the area. I might have done a little bit with sprinklers. And
I mean, if it was a fusible link or something, you could do a lot of damage to the laser before the fusible link or whatever, depending on where it's mounted.
Well, somebody's got one of these, and they mounted it on the top of the lid, and she's never had to use it. But I think it would work in that situation. If you put it on the lid.
Especially if he was being absent-minded and walked away where you just wasn't there.
Yeah. So. All right.
And I can say that, like I said, every time we've had any type of issue where it's smoldering or flare-ups or minor flames, all we've done is stop it, lift the lid, and throw it outside.
Yeah. Now, something else I'll mention, and this may not happen a lot, but it happened to me the other day. And again, I don't do a lot, but I was doing some ply, and I don't know what happened, but I caused it to flare up. I caused it somehow, and I set the wood down, and I noticed it was still smoking. So you might want to check it if you do have an incident like that, and make sure you don't throw it in your scrap pile and then throw some sawdust on top of it. Because I used to know what the words rekindle meant after I heard the tones drop at 3 a.m. in December, and that's not fun.
Oh, I forgot Brian was a firefighter too. I totally forgot about that.
So check and make sure if you do have a flare up that it's not sitting in there. Sometimes they're not. I have been fooled.
Another thing too is an advice for anybody that stains their products. Do not leave stain rags wadded up anywhere. Make sure you lay them out flat at minimal, and or take them outside, because they will spontaneously combust and cause you a fire.
Yeah, or get you one of those metal cans that's made for that. One of those.
Yep, the red cans.
Boiled linseed oil.
Yeah, any of the oils. I should have said any of the oils.
Oil-based. I've yet to see mineral oil do it.
Wait, I heard something about linseed oil.
And hey, don't forget about pistachios too.
Well, linseed oil, who's playing with linseed oil here?
Well, there's two different types of linseed oil. There's raw and boiled.
This is true. So if you are, and I don't remember which one.
Is this an African swallow or an English swallow?
You don't want to use regular linseed oil for anything that you're going to use to eat with, or like cutting boards and things like that.
Well, so the biggest thing to watch out for if you're playing with linseed oil, when you're done with it, your rags have to lay flat and dissipate naturally. If you throw them in a trash can, they will self-ignite and light on fire and start a fire.
Same as your stains. Any of your stains will do the exact same thing. Strippers.
Sorry, I walked in right as I heard linseed oil. I'm like,
you have to lay your strippers down flat and let them dry evenly?
Yeah, I don't do that. I just pay them and send them on their way.
Brian, stop the recording.